In this video, a super important topic: which openings to play, which one would be good for you. So we're gonna use openingtree.com, and that works both with Lichess or chess.com. So what are the recipes? I recommend to check your stats on openingtree.com. I will show you how next. Identify strength and especially the problems openings. And then you can look at top player choices and also study model games, of course, and possibly watch my own opening videos on my channel. Shameless plug, but let's go straight to the opening selection. And right here, I have open openingtree.com. So how does that work exactly? You can select Lichess or chess.com, or even if you use a database, load your own PGN file with your own game. Now you go on chess.com, let's say, you put your own username, and then you can select white or black. Now, interestingly, you can do it from your own username or check a top player. So what did I use here? I use Hikaru Nakamura. And I use 1 year of data using only rapid and blitz game, no bullet chess. And I have 1571 games loaded. And now how does that work? You do view moves here, and you can see that he's facing e4, g4, and then knight f3. Now the key here is on e4. You can see that Hikaru plays a lot of different openings. And on g6, if you look at g6 like that, you can especially look at your stats. And here we go. When he plays g6, that's his performance rating, the number of games he's played, the score, etc. Now, if you go back here on e4, I'm interested to know his actual performance is 3070. And on d4, his performance is 3047, so slightly lower. So let's go to d4. Now, to go to d4, you click d4, and now you see again the statistics and the different opening. Let's say he played f5. So if I play f5, that's a Dutch defense, and he scores very high, 3,239 and 3,127. So that's something you can do for your own game and see, let's say, do you score better versus e4 or d4? And when you click on d4, you can see if you play different opening, which one are more successful. But now, let's go to the next level. And now we're doing statistical analysis in Excel using all this data. So not too complicated, let's see how this works. So I selected 1 year of data in Blitz and Rapid, 1571 games in total, using openingtree.com. Now, what is the data that I selected? How many games is played versus e4 or versus d4? What is the rating performance? What is the score? So in average, we can see that it scores around the same. And the last thing, what is your average opponent rating? In the case of Hikaru, 2850 versus e4, 2817 versus d4. So because d4 is struggling a little bit more, let's look at some stats underneath. The modern is scored 3094, so above his average rating. He's doing very well with d4, g6. d4, knight f6 is scoring a little bit lower. The Dutch is doing extremely well. Now, you can continue like that and look at stats for the Catalan, the Nimzo, and that opening. I don't know how to name it, but he does g6, bishop g7, and c5. And now I have a nice chart for you, and we can look at it and really explore that. So we can see that d4 is slightly lower. The Catalan and Nimzo is below his average rating of 3047. The Dutch and d4, g6 with c5 is above. So you can see that if you were Hikaru, you would have to study more the Catalan and Nimzo, and you're doing very well with the Dutch and the g6, c5 construct. Now, if you're trying to look for an opening with black and you want to win a high level of games, I highly recommend you study Hikaru's game using the Dutch or the g6 modern system against d4. By the way, I have videos on that last system on my channel. But now this is with the black pieces. Let's go back with the white pieces. And on 1e4, his average rating is 3086. Now, these are the openings where he scores super high, especially the Alekhine defense, 3300. That's exceptional. The Vienna game with knight f6, this is 1e4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f6, f4. He scores 3362. And now on the back end here, you can see where he scores below his average rating. The Vienna with knight c6 is not as strong. In the Berlin defense, he does a lot of draws even with white, so that makes his score lower. And against the French, he's doing 2 knight c3, which is slightly less common than 2 d4. But you can see here which are the strong openings. And of course, the Grand Prix attack is a super nice opening against a Sicilian. And once again, I have videos on my channel showing Hikaru's recipe against a Sicilian. But here in a nutshell, you can really analyze both with white and with black which openings you're doing better or worse. And based on that, you can decide where to spend your time and how to study the openings. I'll give you one example using openingtree.com. And now that we know the stats, I'm gonna show you how to use openingtree.com to really look into the variations. So let's go back again. We're gonna use Hikaru with white as an example. So we're gonna take e4, that's a good move. And now I show you the Grand Prix attack. So here he plays f4 and he has tremendous success against that opening. Now let's look at e4, e5, knight c3. There are two main moves, knight f6 and knight c6. On knight c6, when he does f4, you can see here his stats are very low for Hikaru, 28, 26. That's a very low rate. But now let's look at knight f6. Knight f6 is scoring 3200, super high, 84%. So let's go in here. How do you do that? Well, you can play g3, scoring high, but you can try bishop c4 with a sky-high performance of 3362. So I'm interested in bishop c4. And now we can see that there's a lot of variations. For instance, you can take here. Now he does queen h5. The knight retreats, bishop b3. And that's very strong. You go here, you recapture the pawn. And here you can see that you develop the pieces and it's going very well. So you go like that and you can carry on and see that. Now I want to go back to knight c3, look at knight c6. Now he does f4. Now we can see here he has two draws. So you go back down here, knight f3, and you're looking at h6. And you can see in this game, he played a strong opponent. And you can actually click on here and go to chess.com and it will load the game for you. And here we go. We're going back on f4 and you can analyze this game in chess.com. So if I were to recap, what were the big steps? I think that I showed how openingtree.com works. It's really powerful to know where you're doing well and where you have to study your openings. And then you can really go into the variations, select the right ones, and study top players. So if Hikaru is your top player, choose him. If you like Magnus Carlsen or you prefer Alireza Firouzja's games, just put their username with their lead chess or chess.com in the tool. And again, do the stats and then follow the lead. So that's, I think, very useful to select the openings which you're going to have a high rate of success. Instead of studying whatever is the latest video out there, latest YouTube tutorial or Chessable, just do a bit of work to really select which openings you should play. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I'll see you in the next one.